And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And, folks, we got a great conversation coming at you today. So if you ain't got nothing to do, sit back, relax, and let us get this show on for you. Welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. Thank you. And, folks, we have a great conversation today. First, let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior, Yahshua of Nazareth, for making it possible. And welcome, folks. Well, folks, I hope you guys like our new look, new theme song. But guess what? Let the truth be told is still Let the Truth Be Told. To the American people and patriots across this country, it has continued to surface all the money that Doge is finding, and yet the Democratic Party continues to act like, wow, he's doing something wrong for uncovering how we've stole money from the taxpayers. But it has never ceased to amaze me as they continue to catch Democratic people, especially like Stacey Abrams, who was down in Georgia, who just got convicted of election engineering and a whole bunch of other stuff. She has about 20 different organizations. We're going to talk about that. But the main thing I want to talk to you about today is Doge. There are several legislators who have requested that Elon Musk and Doge do an audit here in the state of Illinois. And I believe that it is improper in accordance with what needs to be done so that we can find out where all our taxpayer dollars that went and where they're going and who got them. So in saying that, I'm going to bring my guest in. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Hey, how's everything going?
Good. How you doing today, Doc?
I'm doing well.
Listen. Since Elon Musk has really been uncovering a lot of things about the taxpayers with Doge, some of the legislators here, and I had spoke on this as well about doing a forensic audit here in the state of Illinois. They're calling for it. Several people at meetings at downtown during the mayor's meeting, they're calling for a forensic audit. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's wonderful. There are actually other states that would like this as well. I've been in some X spaces, and they've actually said, it'd be great if we had this all in all 50 states, right? Just an audit to make sure that the citizens that are paying taxes see where their dollars are going and really have the transparency. Now, I know with most states, even with Georgia, you can go to their state website and you can pull up their budget. But it's another thing to have someone go in and do an audit to say, hey, these are some discrepancies that we've actually noticed within your state. And here's some recommendations to be more efficient. And that's really all that Doge is doing. And to your point, it's really sad that the Democratic Party is so terrified by what they're finding and why they're finding it. And here's the thing, you should always be ready to be audited. You're using our tax dollars to work. Right now, I think they're up in arms because Elon sent out an email that said, okay, you need to tell me what you've done over the past 5 days, because if I don't hear from you, you're
Right.
fired, which is proper. Okay, you should be able to give an account of what you've done for the past week. Even working in corporate America,
Yes,
I
you're
would keep
supposed to.
a detailed, itemized list of what I did 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So if anybody ever asked me, like, what are you working on? What progress have you made? I could go back to my spreadsheet and say, these are the items that I've worked on. This is the progress that I've made. And this is where this project is right now. Everybody should be able to do that, whether you're working in government or in the private sector.
Well, most government workers, especially even at the worker level, you're supposed to keep a log of what you
Right.
do each day.
Exactly.
When I was there, we definitely had logs and journals that we posted in regarding different situations. So if anybody picked our work up, they would be able to see what we were doing. Each week it was scheduled out that way. But
Right.
the sad thing of it is with our government, the morale with the civilian employees have went down the tube. And what I really started noticing is we saw a lot of, at the end of my tenure with the federal government, we saw a lot more college people getting federal jobs. And then the pay that they were getting was astronomical. We had guys that, back in my day, you make a meager 60, 70,000, maybe $80,000 a year. You're sitting at like a GS-12. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the Democrats under Barack Obama changed the pay scales. So you got a guy coming in there now, they make it 50 to 60,000.
At GS5.
At a GS5, exactly. And then you're talking about they got step increases and all of that. So, they raised the pay, but yet the production of the work was less. The quality of work was not good because you just had people getting paid good wages, but not really performing to the expectations of the federal government. But what's really sad to the American people and patriots across this country, as Elon Musk continued to expose Democratic leadership, Maxine Waters was crying about, when she got blocked out of U.S. aid for that's where they caught them stealing all the money there. And the list goes on. But Stacey Abrams in Georgia, who played a huge role in stealing the 2020 elections. And for her role for stealing the 2020 elections, she had been awarded over $2 billion grant.
Wow.
And now the $2 billion is missing, and they're trying to find out where it's at. That money went through the U.S. aid, and also, Doc, it went through the Energy Department. And you sent me some stuff about the Energy Department that we're gonna play in a minute. But I wanna play this clip of Stacey Abrams and what she did with the money.
Okay. Commentary. This is gonna be a story told.
In Georgia, and tonight the group that backed Stacey Abrams' bid for governor in 2018 is in hot water.
It comes after the state ethics campaign spent years looking into the organization for potential violations. 11 Alive's Joe Ripley was there when that fine came down. So, Joe, what message does this send?
Yeah, so Faith Jonathan, this fine targets the very group that Abrams founded back in 2013. And today, the State Ethics Commission's fine against the group sends a clear message. If you violate campaign finance law and break the law to influence an election here in Georgia, they're going to come after you, and you will face the consequences.
According to a consent order, the Georgia State Ethics Commission found the New Georgia Project violated campaign finance law tied to Democrat Stacey Abrams' run for governor in 2018 and the MARTA expansion referendum in Gwinnett County in 2019, both losing battles. In the consent order, the New Georgia Project admitted to the 16 violations, including a failure to properly register with the Ethics Commission and a failure to disclose more than $4 million in campaign contributions, plus more than $3 million in spending. In turn, the Ethics Commission fined the group $300,000, the largest campaign finance-related penalty in state history.
If an organization is electioneering in Georgia as an independent committee, they have to register with the commission, they have to disclose the money they raise and the source of that money, where they're bringing in their dollars from. They have to disclose how they're spending that, and they have to indicate in the disclosures what elections they are advocating the election for or against and name the candidates.
The Ethics Commission first looked into a complaint in 2019, but a series of legal battles from the New Georgia Project delayed a decision for years. Cody Hall, an advisor to Governor Brian Kemp, is now questioning what, if anything, Abrams knew and when.
Not only has the New Georgia Project been levied the largest campaign finance fine in state history, they have also agreed with a single accusation made by the Ethics Commission in their investigation.
Legal counsel for the New Georgia Project responded to the consent order in a statement saying they were disappointed in a court ruling that was overturned on procedural grounds. They add, quote, "We are glad to finally put this matter behind us so the New Georgia Project can fully devote its time and attention to its efforts to civically engage and register Black, brown, and young voters in Georgia."
Doc, now I want to get your thoughts
I'm
on that.
sorry, the usury is horrible. We're just going to register people.
Listen, Doc.
Yeah.
Now, to be stealing that kind of money, to be awarded that kind of money, because I'm going to play a little bit more of that clip. She had access to $2 billion, and she's part owner over 20 organizations that this money has been distributed to. Now, what are your thoughts on this, Doc? Because, this was the big cry, and this is why I say it's the rock and hide your hand thing, because when Trump said that Georgia was stolen, everybody went crazy. To the American people and patriots across this country, we should see now that the Democratic Party stole an election, and they should be held accountable. Your thoughts, Doc?
Yeah, and I want to express to everyone, this is alleged, right? Even though they did agree with the charges, and they went ahead and they said, okay, we agree with everything you said. We're going to pay the fine and we're going to move forward. That's just one piece of this. Okay. The $2 billion that you're referring to, Pastor, from USAID, that's a completely separate matter. Because again, they already just stated, you need to show where this money is coming from and how it's affecting the elections. $2 billion. It's interesting because at the end of her campaign, she was actually underwater.
Yes.
Okay. And so I'm like, $2 billion from the federal government to come in. I mean, it's a bad look. And then, to turn around and was like, no, we're just, registering people to vote. Really?
Well, you know what, and I want to say it's similar to how Kamala Harris took $1.5 billion and got rid of it in about 3-4 weeks at least.
Well, I mean, between the entertainers, they were paying the media airtime they were touting, because she was everywhere, and they had a very consolidated amount of time to do the media blitz. So I can understand how they spent the money, because the political ads when I was working in the media were only at 50%. So these politicians were only paying half of the rate. But then the stations figured out that politics is actually every year, all year, and they could make more money if they just charged the full rate to these politicians. That's why so much money is being spent. Because I know the average person at home goes, why does somebody need $1 billion budget for advertising? Because trust me, spots can range anywhere from $1,000, $100 at their lowest, right, at your local level, and upwards to $100 million for just 30 seconds. And that can go very fast. Well,
you know what the sad thing of it is that this is taxpayers' money.
Exactly.
That they're spending. And so you spend $1 billion in about 5 or 6 weeks. That means a lot of pockets got greased, because, Al Sharpton got paid from this, got kickbacks from it. Yep. Roland Martin got kickbacks. The Divine Nine, the Greek organization, they took kickbacks from Kamala. I mean, they even assisted in 2020 to help steal the election, which we're going to talk about that show this week sometime and put the information out there what they did. But, this is just the pulling back the cover on the Democratic Party. And the American people right now should be looking at this saying, we should never, ever let them get back in power, because I got wind of something that all the gold that was in Fort Knox is not there anymore.
You're kidding.
I'm fine.
Wait a minute. Okay, the reason why it's called Fort Knox, people, is because the joke was always like, you can't get in.
And you can't get nothing
unless you're
out.
supposed to be there.
But you remember, now think about this. Remember that Democratic leader, the Hispanic guy that got busted and he had gold bars in his house?
Yes.
Remember him?
Remember that. Because that went away real quick.
It did.
It was like it was there, and then everybody stopped talking about it. Don't talk about that.
But you know what? That only goes to show you, with them being in power all this time, and then nobody actually has went. Well, hopefully Doge will get over to Fort Knox and take accountable for the gold that's there. But I'm gonna play a little bit more of this Stacey Abrams, because the $2 billion that you talked about, we're going to discuss this now.
Okay. With ties to former Georgia Democratic gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, the Free Beacon says the EPA is looking to where some $2 billion ended up. The Beacon writing out in their story that they have been looking into whether or not this money through the Powered Ford communities received the green energy grant, despite the fact that it was founded months earlier in late 2023 and never managed anywhere near the grant's dollar figure. Now, Abrams just this week was pretty vocal on X, saying she's no fan of these Doge cuts. We'll look to see if this group responds to the accusation about the money being misspent.
Now, see, this is what Doge is doing to the American people and Patriots across this country. See, when you heard about all the screaming and hollering from the Democrats because they were saying Elon Musk is doing this, he's taking our privacy stuff. Now that the receipts are coming out, that he's showing to the American people who the real enemy is. You know, he's also done a thing with the Ukraine as well, too, because he's finding trillions of dollars, millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars that the Ukraine got from the United States, and the money ended up right back here. So what we're seeing from Stacey Abrams is nothing new that the Democrats have been doing for years, every chance that they can get. So your thoughts on it, Doc?
Well, again, we know it's alleged, but Doge, they're doing their job. This is what happens in an audit. You're going to find discrepancies. You're going to find inconsistencies. And this is one that's inconsistent. So what is a former gubernatorial candidate doing over 20 companies, having a grant? I don't have anything against people working with other charitable organizations to get a grant to do what you're supposed to do with the money.
Exactly.
But her background is more in helping, seniors and people at the local level. I'm like, how is the EPA coming into contact with people in that way politically? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't align. It doesn't make sense. This whole Green New Deal thing. I'm like, to me, it was, and President Trump even said himself, he goes, it's a scam, because you're giving all of this money to people to pretty much just do studies on what they think could happen. So you're giving away hundreds of millions of dollars into the billions that's just really going to say, yeah, we tried, we weren't able to do it, but give me $500,000.
Doc, I want to play this. Like that. I want to play this clip. I'm going to bring this clip up about the EPA that you sent me, and this is the director of the EPA.
I'm trying to figure out. I just want to know who really runs the energy department. Is it you? Or is it the mega corporations whose stock that you own that you're making profits in?
Oh my goodness.
Or maybe it's the foreign billionaires who fund your conferences. Let's try something else. Do you know the names of the foreign billionaires who fund the conferences you go to? When you were here last, I talked with you about the fact that more than 130 officials in the energy department reported more than 2,700 trades of shares, bonds, and options in companies that ethics officers said was directly related to the agency's work. This is institutionalized corruption. And I asked you point blank, do you own any individual stock? And you told me no. Let's just look at it. It was not a difficult question. Do you own individual stocks, Madam Secretary? You said no. In fact, you repeated it 3 times to me. No, no, no. Turns out that was false. You did own multiple individual stocks, and you neglected to report it to this committee for months afterwards. Why did you mislead this committee?
Oh my goodness.
That was exactly my response. So why did
Senator,
you mislead this committee?
I believed that I had sold all individual stocks, and I was incorrect. So I came back.
You just don't
and
know your
told,
portfolio?
Pretty much.
It's a big one, I guess, huh?
No, it's extremely small.
Apparently not. Someone manages it for you?
So I came back as soon as I found out that, in fact, I had not sold all individuals.
Wait. No, that's not true either. Let's just look at the timeline. Let's not. I just remind you you're incorrect. Madam Secretary, you testified you didn't own any individual stocks. You didn't sell the stocks for a whole nother month. And after you sold the stocks, you waited another month before you informed this committee. Why did you mislead us, and what were you hiding? Why did you wait so long? Why did you hide this? You're here before this committee a year later after actively misleading to us, after denying and delaying, and now you won't tell us. Was one of them Proterra?
No.
You sat on the board of directors at Proterra. You made millions, CNN reports, and stock options at Proterra. Then you promoted Proterra stock and Proterra products as energy secretary.
Sir,
was that one of the stocks that you sold?
This is so. I mean, really.
Was that one of the stocks that you sold? Yes,
No,
really.
no.
You are presiding over institutionalized corruption in your energy department. You have violated the Stock Act 9 separate times. You have been referred by the Inspector General for violations of the Hatch Act. It is institutionalized corruption that you are now the face of. And here's what I'm trying to figure out. I just want to know who really runs the energy department. Is it you, or is it the mega corporations whose stock that you own that you're making profits in?
Oh my goodness.
Or maybe it's the foreign billionaires who fund your conferences. Let's try something else. Do you know the names of the foreign billionaires who fund the conferences you go to? Since you don't know the stocks, do you know the names of the foreign billionaires?
This is unbelievable to me.
Let me help you.
Mr. Chairman.
One of them is
Hans-Georg
Weiss, a Swiss billionaire who has used various dark money front
I do
groups
not know what you
to
are
funnel
talking about.
various dark money front groups to funnel foreign money into American politics. He has used
I believe it.
the Burger Action Fund, $20 million, that then sent money to the Fund for a Better Future, that then sent money to the Climate Power Group that has funded conferences you've attended. Do you know who this is? Do you think it's a good idea to attend conferences funded by foreign billionaires?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know the stocks. You don't know the billionaires. You would take no responsibility. Meanwhile, your energy department, executives in your energy department are trading stocks in companies that they have direct oversight over, and you were too.
It's sad. It's sad, and I wouldn't doubt if at some point she's in a picture with some of these individuals that she's claiming not to know.
I know.
The corruption, and mind you, this was under Biden when that conversation happened. So that was the energy secretary at the time. I'm sure we're going to get a new one, but that person is still going to be liable. I mean, she basically did what Martha Stewart did on crack. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And didn't go to jail. She should have been immediately hauled off to jail, but she didn't go to jail because of the federal position that she was holding. And so, with everything that Doge is exposing, with everything that Donald Trump is exposing, there's going to have to be some perp walks because we can't allow this. We cannot allow this at all. Because what happens, when there's another election, Donald Trump is no longer here. All right, cool. We can't go back to that.
No.
Can't go back to allowing people to blatantly commit crimes with taxpayer money, right? And then try and hide it and make people seem like, oh, you're a crazy person. That's not really happening. No, this is really happening. And it needs to stop.
To the American people and patriots across this country, the reason why we're showing these receipts because we want our taxpayers and listeners to know exactly what's happening with Doge. They want us to believe that, Trump is going crazy. He's losing his mind. Elon Musk is going to steal their identity. All of that is ridiculousness. But see, this is why I say shows like Let the Truth Be Told and other shows on Real America Voices, the American people need to start watching it, because you're going to get the truth. You're not going to see what you just saw on the evening news, because they're a part of the problem. It has been mainstream media who have been covering up for these guys, who continue to promote the hidden agenda, because that's exactly what it is. And a lot of people watching the show now are finally realizing that the government is so corrupt. They're so corrupt. They are lying, they're stealing, but they use a lot of distractions, to add to their corruption. Just like the Ukraine war, they had the war in the Ukraine, dollars have went there. And now President Trump, now I questioned out 4 years of the Ukraine war, it could not be stopped. Trump has been here less than 2 months, and the war stopped. That's because he ain't gonna get no more money.
No, and see, you got to remember, Ukraine's been getting money since 2011.
Yes,
we were just sending them more money under Biden because there was a backdoor deal.
Yes,
that was done, and now you've got Zelensky, who is completely just incapable of actually doing the work, but he was installed. He is no more than a puppet, and that's showing. He is not a real leader. Okay.
No, he's not. And,
I've heard people saying that he might want extradition because the people will rise up against him.
Well, Zelensky was placed there by the Biden administration.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, there was a prosecutor that was in the Ukraine,
yes,
who was coming against Joe Biden
mm-hmm.
and his son Hunter for the Burisma company, the energy company
mm-hmm.
that was there, that they was washing money through. And so that prosecutor ended up losing his job because Joe and them had put so much money into the Ukraine. Because you have to think about this as a taxpayer. Mm-hmm. Why would we continue to send all of that money to Ukraine when it is such a war-torn area? What could the money possibly do? What could the money possibly do?
There's 9 bioweapon labs in Ukraine. That's outside of the fact that they are the world's breadbasket, right?
Okay.
So there was a lot of things at stake with this particular piece of country, I should say, next to Russia, that there was a lot at stake to lose, because let's just say Russia comes in and they're able to control that land. Okay, the United States, you're going to end your bioweapons labs, right? So you're no longer going to be able to do that testing on the people that are there. You're no longer going to be able to do nefarious things. Now we have control of the breadbasket. See, the thing about Russia is they're in control of their country, but they really don't control anything that affects the rest of the world, that would impact the rest of the world like that, right? So Ukraine, that's why there's such a big tug of war with that land.
Well, it's coming out that a lot of the politicians, Pelosi, Biden, and the list goes on of Democratic leadership and Rhino Republicans who have sent their children there as ambassadors, paying their money. They've purchased a lot of land in the Ukraine.
Yes.
They had those bio labs there. They instituted homosexuality into the Ukraine. I mean, all the bad things that the politicians have done here to the United States.
Yeah.
They've done it. They probably got secret labs here. They have done so much stuff in this country, the Democrats have, to this country, but it's showing now. And so we basically made Zelensky rich, because I saw some articles where he was sitting around in a safe or whatever with piles and piles of money. And yet the country is so torn to pieces. I just don't see how we continue to send them money, and they are still getting money.
Yeah. And Trump, I think in a recent speech, he basically let it be known that we sent money, but we sent it without conditions. And to that, the Europe sent money, the EU, but they had conditions, and it was a loan that's guaranteed for Ukraine to pay back. And so Trump was like, okay, well, you're going to give us a better deal than that. Not only are you going to pay the money back that we gave you, you're going to pay it back with interest. So the American people get their money back. But like I said, it's only a part of the money that we've sent in the past 4 years. We're not going back all the way to 2011.
But you know, it's so much money that has been washed through there.
Mhm.
And the Democratic Party have been the recipient of taxpayer money. And I knew
Yes.
it. We've been saying this all along. When the war first started and we started talking about it, because the Ukraine war started 2 weeks after Afghanistan was blotched. After they
Right.
screwed up Afghanistan, 2 weeks later, it was a Ukraine war, you know.
Mhm.
And a lot of that too is because of those oil pipes, those ports that are there in the Ukraine is a key thing on why
Yeah.
they're trying to fight for this land. That's the
Yes.
same thing with the Israel war. It's the ports in Damascus and all the rest of the towns that they're trying to shut off and take this strip in Gaza because of the fact that it has a Leviathan under the bottom of it,
Mhm.
the biggest
Yeah.
natural gas find ever. And so
Yes.
that's another reason why America is in the middle of these two wars, because they're trying to control the gas.
Yes. Yeah. The resources.
They're
Yeah.
trying to control the resources. And that's why we had these two wars under the Biden administration, besides the fact that, you know, the politicians, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, all the oligarchs who ran the country, because Joe was sick. We know
Yeah.
that Joe was sick the whole
Yeah.
time of his
Mhm.
tenure, you
Yeah.
know, and we need to be taking a look at some things because Joe didn't pardon himself. So Joe needs
Yeah.
to spend the rest of his life in a prison for the things that he did and all the transgender stuff that he shoved down the people's throat. I mean,
Yeah.
Joe Biden opened the borders to the American people and patriots across this country. I don't see, especially to Black citizens, after the invasion into our community, I don't see how the Democratic Party could even raise his face up and run for anything, even a dog catcher. They should lose because they've been totally exposed by Doge.
Yeah.
And
They have.
President Trump is making sure that they're going to be held accountable. Doc, your thoughts?
Yes. So, I mean, it's sad that it happened, but I'm grateful again for Mr. Musk. And a lot of people don't agree with what he's doing, but he's exposing what needs to be exposed. Because
He is.
because finding out where the money is only better for us. It'll help us to
Yes.
have a more efficient government, especially our federal government. Because what I didn't realize, it was like close to 3.7 million people work just for the federal government. We're not talking about local, state and local governments. We're just at the federal level. That's a lot of people. And they were included in the employment numbers. So a lot of the employment numbers that we saw over the past 4 years, where it kept saying, oh yeah,
Inflated.
employment's great. It was
It was
people
horrible.
working for the federal government is not commerce, everyone.
Right,
That just
exactly.
means we're paying our own people to work. Okay, that's what that meant. And so now, is there going to be a little bit of how should I say it? We're going to have to tighten up our belt? Yeah,
Well, you know what?
because we're going to release a lot of this money into the economy, which is good, right? But we need to revive our business sector with local businesses.
And we definitely need to do that because of the simple fact that now that we do have a true leader in office, we should be able to rebound and get out of this inflation things, because he's rolling back all the crazy stuff that was done under the Biden administration.
Yeah.
And you can see in what, 32 days or whatever he's
It's
been in
only
office.
been over 30 days, y'all. Feel like I lived 6 years. I'm just saying, because
Yes.
so much stuff has been found. And
Yes.
so many things are happening. It's like, 2 hours pass, you lived 6 months. I'm just saying, one day.
But this is where we need to be. This is where the American people need to be here right now, because President Trump is opening the doors. He's being transparent. He's showing us exactly how the corruption has been put into the government. He is draining the swamp. That's why you see all of these employees who they're letting go. You've been working for the federal government 4 years, and you ain't been to the office in 4 years, and now you don't want to come back to the office.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
So
that's fine, but you need to get another job.
You need to get another job.
Continue to work remote, because, like I said, that's fine. But you're not going to continue to work for the federal government from home.
President Trump is returning this country back to normalcy.
Yeah,
that's what he's doing, and that's what we need, and that's why I'm so proud of him. When he just killed the whole transgender thing and said it's only 2 genders, you know, all that crap is getting out of the schools, and to the American people and patriots across this country, this is why I'm saying that the grassroots people need to be running for office, Doc.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, that's why I'm running for mayor of Chicago. We cannot sit back and watch and let people be in power who do not respect the taxpayer dollars, who do not respect the taxpayers, and continue to do things against us. I mean, this is absurd, the fact that we see the mayor here in Chicago. See, Brandon Johnson done got himself in some real trouble right now.
Yeah, he really has.
He has already been on record stating that he didn't care what Trump did. He didn't care what Tom Homan said, that he was going to continue to take federal dollars and use them to hide migrants.
Right.
That's already on tape.
Yeah, it is.
And so Pam Bondi has already filed the lawsuit. See, they don't really understand the situation that Chicago and New York and all the rest of these cities are in. This is a prime opportunity for the Black community to get back on its feet.
Yes.
Because see, what Brandon Johnson knows, and he knows it, and Brandon, if you don't know it, you are truly an idiot. You are about to be thrown under the bus because you're going to go to jail. J.B. Pritzker is going to turn on you, and you're going to end up in jail, and J.B. Pritzker is going to do what Donald Trump tell him to do. Now, it's going to be up to the people of Illinois to throw JB out come election time.
Right.
But Brandon going to end up in jail because they set him up, Doc. Check this out, Doc. So,
wow.
They let him get all on the tube talking about illegals and doing what he said he wanted to do. He didn't give a damn about Trump. He don't care.
Right.
So now they pretty much subpoenaed him by asking him to come to testify before Congress. And oh, by the way, Brandon, you got to bring all the receipts for all the money that you spent.
That's right.
See, that's the catch right there.
Yeah.
You got to bring, they already see
everything. And if they try to destroy or hide anything, that's even worse. Hopefully they don't do that.
See, this is what I love about Trump, because what he did, he froze things here in the state of Illinois.
Good.
Once that he froze that money, the federal money, they came right in and they did a forensic audit already, Brandon. That's why they told you to come to Congress and bring the receipts. So if you sitting back, you manufacturing new receipts, you're already busted. And you're going to lie to that Congress. They're going to file charges against you.
Yeah.
And then they're already calling for a Doge. You know, here in Illinois, there's a lot of taxpayers who've been complaining. Myself, a lot of the grassroots people, you know, and we've been calling for that forensic audit. Once I take over on the 5th floor, I'm going to do a forensic audit myself. I always say that you cannot take over office. And this to the American people and patriots across this country, this is exactly what President Trump did. Before he got back into this office, he made sure he did a forensic audit of the government. Because see, he don't want to get caught with these guys, with this swamp still going on, taking money, diverting funds everywhere, doing this and doing that. So Trump was right to be able to do this audit, because now we know where we're at. Now we'll know who's stealing, where our money went. Now we know where every penny has gone. And if we don't know, we can find out. And that's what this audit is doing. And that's what needs to be done in these sanctuary states. And that's what's being called for here in Illinois. And I'm going to play a little clip of that, and you can check it out.
Hegseth shared major cuts to the defense budget are coming. Doge's mission to cut $2 trillion from the federal budget is just ramping up, with President Trump now even considering passing 20% of all Doge's savings to you, the American taxpayer, through stimulus checks. And as we've been reporting, Elon Musk sharing today on X, quote, all federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they got done last week. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. Some departments already taking note and slimming down their workforces. The Pentagon, for example, announcing Friday 5,400 civilian workers on probation will be fired next week after Secretary Hegseth shared major cuts to the defense budget are coming.
Yeah.
Now, beginning right away, we are pulling around 8% or $50 billion from the Biden budget. We're planning, this is planning for this year, that we will move away from woke Biden-era non-lethal programs and instead spend that money on President Trump's America First, peace through strength priorities for our national budget.
All of this is inspiring one state lawmaker to pen a proposal to bring Doge to his state. Illinois State Representative John Cabello joining us tonight. Thank you for making the time.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And you have said that a Doge is the new cool thing, and sometimes we don't have those good ideas. We need to borrow them. Tell us why you're pushing to bring a Doge to Illinois.
So as my time in the state assembly, I've seen our budget just explode, and it's time to take that idea that they're doing on the federal side, put it to work here in the state, and let's see where we're wasting money. Let's make sure that we're starting to save that taxpayer dollars for the people that pay for everything.
What would you want to streamline first? I know you mentioned the DMV.
Yeah, I mean, how much time do we have? Because our budget is so inflated in so many different areas. The DMV is a good place to start. We still have employees that aren't coming to work, just like the federal government, in so many different areas of our state departments. You call, nobody answers the phone because there's nobody there. They're still working from home. So this, I think, is just going to be an excellent idea to make sure that we do what is right for the taxpayers.
What about the idea that firing a percentage of the workforce, of culling the workforce, will only make things slower?
Well, again, what we need to do is we need to dive into, number one, why are they not there at work? Number two, what is their actual job? Number three, I think we're going to have much improved services if they're actually there doing their job instead of being at home. So I think starting to get into this, we would have a very good way of making sure that the taxpayers' dollars are going to be saved and that the people that are there supposed to be doing their jobs are actually going to be there. And that's going to improve the services.
Would you be satisfied with just a sweeping return to the workplace mandate, or do you actually want to see firings take place?
Let's just get everybody back to work first. Look, when you apply for your FOID card, which we shouldn't have in Illinois, but we do, it takes months for somebody to get back to you. When you're trying to get your concealed carry license, it takes months. So let's look and find out why it's taking so long. Let's see what's going on to make sure that we can start improving the efficiencies.
What is your message to Governor J.B. Pritzker?
Resign.
Yeah. And see, I've worked remotely, and there are some positions that work better remotely than in-person positions that they basically, I should say, configured because of COVID mandates. Right. So there are certain things that are, yes, you do need to be there in person and be more efficient. OK, like I said, it just depends on their setup. But unfortunately, most states, in Illinois is just one example, have a lot of inefficiencies. We have inefficiencies here in Georgia. Like I said, every state could use a Doge audit. What I mean by that is find the waste, fraud, and abuse. Find the efficiencies so you have a more efficient state government, period.
Well, and that's why I say what Brandon Johnson is walking into is an exact Doge already, because once that they froze those federal funds, they got the records already. They've already pulled all that your notes. I mean, they've already pulled because they were allowed to, because these were federal dollars.
Yes.
And what you're gonna find here in Illinois, you're going to find a lot of money in different organizations that these Democratic leaders belong to. just like Stacey Abrams. She belonged to over 20 different organizations. And those are called shell companies. Those shell companies are only being used to wash through money. When she sends the money to whoever that they say is supposed to get it, then they send the money back to her through this Bright Future program, and she put the money in her pocket. And so that process is being used throughout the United States and really everywhere where corruption is. That's the same process that Joe Biden used with the documents. Remember when Joe got caught and never went to jail?
Nope.
And they tried to send Trump to jail for documents that he was legitimately supposed to have. But Joe had them all locked up out there by his Corvette. And remember what he said? He said, well, they was in safe places, but what they also said too was Joe was the vice president, but Joe had 20 other companies, shell companies that him and Barack Obama owned. See, they haven't got to Barack Obama yet.
Nope, they haven't.
See, Barack, you might as well, with your little fancy pants, you might as well get ready because they're saving you for last.
Yeah, that's coming.
You began all of this foolishness by creating the swamp and putting the woke people into the military and doing all the stuff that you did, the money you done stole. You only supposed to have made, you should not be a trillionaire, but Barack is a trillionaire right now. Last count, he was what, about 70 million or a little bit
sounds
more.
about right. And it's sad because, okay, you're a politician. Even the president of the United States earns less than $300,000 a year. Okay, as a government official, and that's still, it's decent money.
It's good money.
But how are you worth billions of dollars? And people say, well, he wrote books. There's not that many books. Sorry. To be the billionaire that he has and to amass the real estate that he has in the locations, it's like there was something else going on. And we need to find out what that was.
And it's a lot going on. And that's the reason why this Doge forensic audit is going to be important. And that's why they're crying so loud. That's why, to the American people, patriot, do not buy into anything what the Democrats are saying. They're filing lawsuits trying to make it seem like that Doge is doing something undercover. It is not. Only thing that Doge is doing is uncovering all the lies, the corruption, and the theft of taxpayer dollars. So
even Jeremy Raskin, he says, well, we're just filing these lawsuits to slow them down. So you know that you can't stop them. You literally said we're just doing this to slow them down. Why are you still wasting our money? It's still our money.
Yes.
That you're wasting. It's not your money. It's not coming out of your pocket. Now, here's my thing, and this is what I think with Congress. Whenever they want to file a lawsuit or they want to even hold certain meetings that shouldn't be held, with it, that should come out of their salary.
It should.
You can totally hold this meeting, but it's going to come out of your pocket. Period. I bet you we would have a lot less of these little grandstanding meetings, and they would do what they were supposed to do and get their jobs done.
But I like what President Trump said about. Now, see, this is how a real president's supposed to operate. He is in control of trillions and trillions of dollars that belongs to the taxpayers. He's already a millionaire, so he don't have to steal money. Elon Musk is one of the richest men in the world. He doesn't have to steal no Social Security check like what they were screaming about to black people. They're going to take your Social Security check and all that. Cut your welfare off. Oh, y'all got to go fight. See, that's the foolishness. But Doc.
Well, I mean, look, Social Security has only been around for 90 years. How do we have people collecting Social Security that are older than the founding of the country?
Exactly. And we showed that on the last show that we showed how that people from 100 and some years old in the millions right now are getting Social Security checks.
Those people are not alive. Come on. Really?
If you're 100,
really?
Not 3 million people are not 100 years old. From 100 to 120 or 30 or something. And the bracket was each year, these people are still getting Social Security. So this is what Doge has done. It has really pulled the cover off the corruption. And that's why we see the crying and the whining from the Democratic Party as they continue to run for cover, because now that there's no place to hide, everybody's being exposed. What you think? I heard Oprah Winfrey getting ready to leave the United States. You heard that?
I wouldn't doubt. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she did. It does not surprise me. It does not shock me, because they know they're guilty. That's the bad part. They know they're guilty. But where are you going to go? Really? Because these other countries are capitulating to Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? They know what time it is.
They know what time it is. Yep.
No.
So, you know, it's just like a waiting game right now. And it should be for those who have been corrupt, those who have broken laws, those who have committed fraud, those who have stole money. And we know them. They're national politicians, the Bidens, the Harris, Kamala Harris, the Obamas and the Clintons and the Bushes, all of them right now, because they've been stealing so long, their names are going to pop up just about everywhere with these shield corporations. And Pam Bondi, she's going to have, oh my God, thank God for Kash Patel, who is now the new FBI director. Yay!
Everybody, look, was it Adam Schiff and the other 4 individuals were out there protesting his confirmation. I was like, really? You don't even have a crowd? Like, y'all couldn't pay, somebody to show up for y'all? Really?
Well,
just you 5. That's it. Y'all the only ones.
As the FBI director, now the weaponization of the FBI department can end.
Yeah.
Kash is going to overturn. He's going everything that needs to be found. He's going to use it. He's going to use Elon Musk to find money, which they're already finding taxpayer dollars and waste with the FBI. They're finding it in the DOD, Department of Defense. I mean, the list goes on of the corruption in this country, and the American people should be happy that we do have President Trump in there and Elon Musk doing what they're doing. So, we just have to stay focused right now, especially in the Black community, and make sure that we can pull our tents together. And locally, I keep telling people, you gotta run for local office. If you don't run for local office, you cannot continue to expect for good things to happen with the same old people in office. So
exactly. Over the weekend, I actually signed up to be a precinct chairman with the Republican Party. Now, I am a redemptionist, and they're allowing me to still hold that position underneath the Republican Party. So Redemptionist has finally, made her way, and will be working with the Republican Party at the local level to make sure that we're having, fair free elections. I may get to be a state delegate. So just looking forward to how I can contribute. But it takes us getting off the couch, to your point, and being involved, because we now see that the people that are involved do not have our best interest at heart. No. And it will continue to be that way until we get off the couch and participate.
And folks, don't worry about being, because see, what the politicians want you to believe today is that you have to have a college education, you have to be all smart, and you have to do this to run for office. You do not. The only thing that you have to be a good politician is to be honest, not afraid to talk, not afraid to ask questions, and learn the position. You're going to learn the position when you go there. The problem, what happens is, a lot of times people are getting into office, they've already having a hidden agenda, because the people that helped them get into office, there's no way that a congressman like Jonathan Jackson get in with less than 200 votes. How 200 votes? How do you get to be a congressman? See, that's because they wanted him there to keep the Jackson legacy going on. The other Jackson boy went to jail for stealing money, him and his wife. And it's just too much corruption going on in Illinois. So to the American people and patriots across this country, especially citizens here in Chicago, get off the couch, consider running for office, consider running for the school board positions, consider running for state rep, because the only way that we're going to see change is we have to take those people out of office and put God-fearing people into office that's going to be right by the people. And saying that, Doc, I got another clip I want to play.
Okay.
This is of Tom Homan. I saw Tom Homan this morning.
Okay.
On the news. I sent him a text, man, and Tom looked really tired. And I love Tom for who he is and what he's
I know he's burning it candle at both ends.
He's burning the candle. and I'm texting him. I'm saying, hey, brother, I love you, man, but you get some rest. You know what I'm saying? I'm praying for you and the family. Get some rest. But he did something that was beneficial to the American people and patriots across this country. This morning, Tom Homan deputized every American in this country. He deputized every American.
He heard us. He heard us.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Every American in this country has been deputized to turn in illegal aliens.
Wow. I'm excited.
Find
I'm
the
excited.
Number. ICE number. Just look up ICE. If you see illegals, it is your sworn duty as an American to turn them in. Now, there may be some reward for doing it. I'm going to find out if there's reward. If you can get an reward to turn these illegals in, you see how fast they'll come out of this country and get out of this country. And saying that, I'm going to play Mr. Holman back at what he said at CPAC.
Now we're getting a question. Well, you said you're going to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats, but you arrested non-criminals. Yeah, damn right we did. Because you're in the country illegally, which happens to be a violation of our law. Entering this country illegally is a crime, and we're not going to forgive it.
Yes.
Into sanctuary cities, game on, because Pam Bondi's back into place. And Kash Patel is back running the FBI. President Trump brought together one hell of a team, and every time I see one of these people get nominated and take their oath for office, I just get that much more excited. I'm afraid I'm going to have a heart attack one of these days because it just keeps getting better. Sanctuary cities are a sanctuary for criminals. I've read all these stories this week. Tom Homan insulted AOC. Well, look, it's not an insult if it's true. She says Homan has no game, he has nothing on me. Look, you can claim you're educating people according to their constitutional rights. I think she's a long ways away from being a constitutional scholar myself. Bottom line is, we know what the game is. You can claim you're educating people to their rights, but we know what the end game is. Try to tell people how to invade law enforcement. And we're talking about people who enter the country illegally, which is a crime, committed a violent act against a U.S. citizen, were ordered removed by a judge. We got members of Congress saying it's okay to educate them how to invade law enforcement. We're not making this shit up. We're enforcing the laws enacted by Congress. And we're not going to apologize for it. Not under this administration.
I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got great governors out there. Governor Pritzker, you ain't one of them.
Okay.
I met with Governor DeSantis yesterday. No, he's passed one of the strongest state immigration laws in this nation. Do you know it's a crime in the state of Arizona, in the state of Florida? It is a crime to enter the country illegally. He made his own state law. He has passed a law that he will fire any mayor or sheriff that doesn't help ICE enforce immigration law.
Yes, he did. He did that.
Yep.
He did that.
Doc, your final thoughts on that? We gotta get out of here.
Just warms my heart. I thank you for that. I didn't realize he deputized all of us. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. But yes, everyone, when you see all these things happening, make sure that you look up towards heaven, for your redemption is drawing near. And with that, definitely check out the USA Redemption Party at usaredemptionparty.com. We're looking for candidates to be servants of the people and members of the party. Like I stated, I am a redemptionist, and I'm going to be working with the Republican Party. I am a precinct chairman, to be involved with local politics and also at the state level to be a state delegate to cast votes for the people in my community to make sure that our community stays safe, to make sure that the money is going where it's supposed to. I mean, even if I have to contribute my skills as a paralegal and as a compliance specialist, I will, to make sure that we here in the state of Georgia have transparency and that we're also making sure there's no fraud, waste, and abuse here.
Yes.
So with that, I'm just excited to be here, and hopefully you guys will be checking out my new show that should hopefully be dropping in April, Unfiltered Vision News. So that's that little bug that you see behind me. You're going to see commercials from me leading up to the show, but it's basically going to be news from not so much a religious perspective, but a biblical perspective. I do believe that, in talking about politics and talking about God and just how things that are happening in the world impact us spiritually. So check out Unfiltered Vision News.
Thank you, Doc. And we'll be seeing you tomorrow with your Unfiltered News, and have a great evening. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm going to give my final words, and then I'm going to get out of here too. To the American people and patriots across this country, it is time for us to really understand what's happening here. We can see all the corruption, all the lies, the money that's been stolen, from COVID and all of that. And we really have to support what President Trump is doing and being transparent. And I want to say this to the Black community. This is an opportunity for us to pull our tent strings in. This is an opportunity for us to rebuild, to seek economics under this platinum plan that President Trump is about to administer. Time to get our schools back and to teach our children who they are. These are the things that has made this country great. These are the things that's going to make the Black community great again, to have our own stores, be self-sufficient, have our own banks, create new business. I think it's like $400 billion in the platinum plan that will be given to create new businesses across the country. To the American people and patriots, this is the time for us to be one America, to stand together and fight corruption and do what we need to do. And then I'm gonna get